Hey y'all, it's Umari Marie. Happy Saturday or whatever day it is that you're watching this. I am just got off of work and just did some choreo, so I am back at the house getting settled in, and I am extremely hungry. I didn't have time to make any breakfast this morning, so I was just running off a Red Bull and a dream. So I am now just making some broccoli, warming up some rice. This is my favorite kind to use because it's that cilantro lime and it's so good. And then I made some chicken breast, so I just put some teriyaki sauce on there because I don't think I seasoned it too well the first time. So, but as I'm heating this up, this video, I will just be talking about, or not talking about, I will be sharing my experiences when it comes to dating people with kids. As you guys know from previous videos, if you've watched them, I hope you've watched them, that I don't have any kids currently myself. I just have my lovely nieces and nephews. But I'm not opposed dating someone with kids. I actually did once before. Haven't did it many times, but once before. But as I shared that, I want you guys to get my side, how I feel about it, but I also wanted to open the doors because eventually I do want to talk to people and get others' perspectives on like how they feel about dating. So interview maybe possibly like my sister who does have kids and like what that dating realm is like for her, or some of my other friends. So this video will be pretty brief, but like I said, I did date someone with kids before. It was actually last year, and honestly it wasn't like that bad. We didn't work out for other reasons, but I never really officially met the kids. And when we first started talking, he was up front. He told me he had two, and their ages, things like that. As we were talking, we never really officially ended up dating. As I shared in my previous videos, it's one of those things where we talked for a little bit, and then we went on dates, kind of multiple dates. And then when it got to the point where things were like probably a little bit more serious is when, unfortunately, I called it quits. Just for some personal reasons, and some wounds that I just felt like wasn't healed from a previous relationship either. But all in all, again, like I said, I am not opposed to dating guys with kids. Now, will I say if I had a lineup between both really good guys, one had kids, one did not, I would probably go for the one without kids. Nothing against that, but I would love to start a family with a guy, and of course they're my kids. It's me and his kids together. That's my absolute dreams. But I know people have different lives, different journeys, and children become in the mix. So sometimes there's situations where a guy and his girl, they don't stay together, but a kid was born and they end up separating, where you might have to become that role model or that mom or father figure in their lives, and that is okay, especially if that's what you're doing now. But personal preference, again, if I had a lineup and you had a really good looking guy, really nice, they had all the same traits, but one had kids and one did not, I would probably choose the one without kids, just for those personal reasons, as I stated before. Right now I am cutting up my chicken because I eat it in strips. Am I doing a good job? Absolutely not. And I'm still using my very, very crappy pans from my last video. So if anyone wants to help a sister out and, send me some pans this way, tell a friend, that would be amazing. Let's see what else. I don't think I'm making this broccoli right. Let's see what else happened in that relationship. Or not relationship, that talking, the guy I talked to. Like I said, we lived in separate cities, so we were introduced actually through mutual friends. The first time we hung out, it was more of a game night with us and our friends. And then we got introduced officially. We were just texting a little bit over the phone, but we officially got introduced. After that game night, we did end up going on a date and things like that. The not red flag, but the strangest thing that I would say that did kind of happen that I wasn't used to when it comes to talking to guys or hanging out, anything like that, which I thought was really sweet at the time. But now I'm not too sure. But we had that game night earlier in the year. Then it was like around Valentine's Day that we were still just texting, but we hadn't hung out again, so it was just the one game night. And on Valentine's Day, I did get flowers. Aww. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. The not strange part about it, but like the part that I now think about, like, oh, was that a little too much, was not only did I get flowers that day, but I got it like the rest of the week. So like on Valentine's Day, whatever day that occurred, and then the following week after that. Granted, again, we only hung out that one game night. So the moment I thought it was really sweet, but after thinking about it, I'm like, thinking that was a little much for the first date, in my opinion. Now I'm just warming up the rice. And I think my chicken's burning, but it's okay. I'm curious, after you guys watch this video, especially if you either don't have kids or if you do have kids, again, I know I say it every video, but feel free to like, comment, share your story on if you feel like you have dated someone with kids and like the relationship's going well, your journey with that, or if you have opinion against dating people with kids. I'd love to just hear and read, and maybe we can share each other's stories and people can network on there as well. Like a question I would want to answer, like, does anybody have like an age limit on like kids? Like, is there a certain age that you would be okay dating someone with kids, or if a kid's too old or too young, things like that. I personally wouldn't probably go too young, because in my head I'm like, is things really closed off between the guy and like the mom, like the baby's father or the baby's mother? Sometimes I like fresh relationships are first after like a baby's being born. There's a tie that's made between parents, and that would be always a thought in the back of my head. I feel like if I were to date someone with maybe someone that's close to like a newborn or 1 year old, like younger ages. I don't know if I need to put all this chicken on this plate, but I am gonna do it, because why not? And this is a finished product. You see the broccoli with the chicken and the rice. Yeah, chef. Not really. All right, y'all. So I'm about to dig in. Like I said, I'm really hungry, so I'm gonna share a little bit more of this story time of the first person I dated that did have children. So beyond like the flowers, like sent all the flowers, thought it was real sweet. So then we did go on a few more dates, and we had like another game night. I was a +1 to an event of his, and things were getting just a little bit more serious. And at that time, I did have to take some time to like kind of reflect on how like the relationship was going and some of the things that you kind of overlook. So there was one time where we, I think, planned on hanging out. I think something like that. We either planned on hanging out or meeting up on the phone. Something was supposed to happen on a weekend, and I couldn't do it because my sister, she had an emergency and she needed me. Instead of talking about it like adults, I didn't hear from him for it was like several days. And then when I did, like I had to reach out, and he was like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I was just upset because I felt like that time basically was supposed to use for me since we never see each other, which I got to a certain degree, but also it's like we're adults, and you're a little bit older than me too. So like, why couldn't you just like talk to me and tell me that versus like kind of closing the door? So that was like one of the things I was like, don't know how I feel. Again, I felt like there was also just some wounds that just weren't healed, either maybe on both sides of our relationships, that our previous relationships, that I felt like would have gotten in the way. And I didn't want to like get fully introduced to the kids, things like that, if we weren't going to go anywhere. And if I had any doubts, because that's not fair to the kids to be brought into a situation and meet people or maybe grow attachments, or they could not like me at all. Who knows? But I don't think it's fair to them to have to go through that. So that was another reason why I decided to. And then lastly, again, we hung out it was like my birthday time, and I'm not like materialistic at all, very much at all. Well, very much. So I'm not materialistic. I do like nice things, but I'm not materialistic. And he got me a lot of gifts for my birthday. I didn't ask for anything, honestly, just wanted to hang out, things like that. And there was nothing wrong about that necessarily, but also when I ended things, I did kind of feel bad in some sort. Like, oh, he just gave me all these things and I broke up with him, and I didn't want him to think like my intention was the gift, so I even offered to give it back, but he said, no, I can keep them. So again, it did end. From a friend, they said he was disappointed. But in looking back, he was disappointed, but we did end up finding out later that I wasn't the only one he was talking to anyway. So it was just a sticky situation. But it did let me know that, hey, because for a little bit I said I would never date anyone with kids. So it did let me know that my mindset was changing a little bit and I was open to different things. So yeah, that's a good story time. I hope again that you guys join me when I start to like reach out to other people to hear their stories, or you guys actually just comment how you feel about dating, or people with kids, or giving me on some insight on maybe on what I'm looking or what I'm missing from the narrative as well. If you want to get me some silverware, please get that too, because that just broke. But the food is really good. Like, comment, subscribe.
Did you mean to do that with the fork that time?
No, I thought I was being gentle. But I was like, you might as well just keep it.